Superbike, won a lot of races, being able to challenge for
championship. You can barely see anything more than shadows of is the fact that the championship is already settled.
Yamaha and Ducati, there's not an awful lot to play task to get this race to go ahead. The biggest issue for
was there 1 minute, and then the next minute everyone was staying in their garages for a fair while at least with
so, and you can see just in the pit.
To think of something original for next season as well, series and so on. But the major one is
to see as much as possible. So riders change their
of the Pata Yamaha pit box.
Watching the rain coming down, but
yes, as it stands, by then the track was already too far gone.
Yeah, speaking of yesterday, we saw that there were puddles in the gravel track.
To stop in order for it to start to drain, because if the rain's
now, and you see just how difficult it is out there.
They're a hardy bunch here. They stuck it out.
Uniform there in the Go 11 pit box.
Possible so that they don't get too covered. This is pit boxes. Axel Bassani will be one of the few
in the independent standings, and for Bassani it's been a
worsening of his injury, as we mentioned previously.
And all the way through this season, he's focused on winning his many ride with another race victory. Shows the kind of rider
and how heavily that rain is falling.
The rest of the field, and Alvaro Berti,
even if he made up 6 positions to make up the necessary images here. Some awards still to be settled in 2020.
Giving us a good indication of what covered with that rain.
Yes, everyone was the infrastructure. They're certainly working on it, gradually improving. Motorway constructed as well, but that's all logistics behind the
track. The 3 Asia Talent Cup races, Super Sport. We've had great racing all the way through all 3
Klioglu, he and Jonathan Ray
can take that fight to Yamaha and to Top Rack Rides. Got to see what Honda can do with their 2 rookies. It really
much touted for a potential ride in MotoGP. Klioglu has been a revelation. He's been the first man to take the fight to
Jim. But they weren't really able to put themselves in.
He'd be keen to get a round.
We'll wait and see what happens in the future for that. The good news: sport races of all time. Keenan Safoglu up against back on that bike. Alvaro's going to be excited about track action all the way through the weekend here in Indonesia. Talked about that. They haven't made big changes to it all the way through.
And to provide more of the same. That's going to be increased.
And now it's going to be up to Ducati to try and in the World SBK paddock with what will
now. This is looking options very
to get down here and have some
much like the early stages of race 1 earlier
that he was out on track. And it almost
disrespect. They're both slender gents. As far as I can see, clean sweep for Yamaha. Winter to have another go, perhaps.
I have to say, just looking at that Top Rack came across the line, and then there was that release of
Indonesia in November, which is very much
this morning, like you said, Alex. And you know,
would you consider that a championship that went down to 2021? Where does he go from to see that they're mixed?
See riders like Alvaro Bautista come across, known quantity.
Of course, he was celebrating a birth in the rain. Still waiting.
Gravel traps. That's also a
great deal of discussion over the course of this season. The package wasn't quite up to the same level. Something they're going to be looking to put right from their side for next season.
Exactly. Approach the off season, because speaking to Ray a few times.
Yes, of course, we remounted in Donington, but outside of the points.
That was one of the big things that defined the season. Those kind of consistency and comfort that we saw from Ray at different times.
And we all remember how that ended. Look at the ASAP, because riders and personnel.
Canepa's a person not to be underestimated, important for being able to bring that feedback back to
Andrea Dossley as well. Usually a sort of
World SBK title, even with some of the Top Rack that made the difference and got them across the line, though.
And 7 the last time that they won.
Chasing, and that's where the winter is going to be really interesting.
On to you. The fans that are waiting patiently in the grounds to get information, they're hoping that we're going racing before we got you know, the end of the day.
Certainly hasn't been the year he would
have almost overestimated what the expectation.
When you go to the start of the season, what's your expectation? Hired to be that number 2 rider, win some races. He did at the season. They can't afford to go up against Top Rack.
He rode for the Aruba IT Junior. The man of the future first
came out at Donington Park that this could have been possible. That even though Alvaro Bautista dominated those early season races, to know that they've got a rider that can.
Here's the point. It looks like a Norwegian fjord
into the pit lane.
Zone of Southeast Asia, of course. Sailing super sport race. They've been treated to the world regulars. The fans keen to show off there.
Maybe it's a bit slippery across pit wall there.
Here at the Mandalika International Circuit, our feature in and around the circuit as well. But it has been an entertaining visit.
Then they'll be here in one of their early seasons.
And once we battled through Jonathan Ray sealing his back to Australia 2020.
Did make it feel like we were
check on the Good afternoon and welcome. Result of wet weather conditions here.
Using the leaf blowers in the foreground, so a real commission come together. We saw that in Louses Ring a few years ago. A couple of key areas in the track.
Yes,
at this time, and see if you're able to lift. Certainly, there's a will to get this action. The top three in the championship decided. It'll be interesting to see what decision does get made, and
not say a fixed time point on it as far as
it is going to be a real challenge for everyone.
In particular, we can get some reward for their patience.
Riders heading out now just to get themselves out.
Is the cheers of the crowd as given the way the rain is still coming down.
Of what this place is like in wet conditions. So
in wet weather conditions. Actually, this
from the blame, Al, but certainly, as you can see, Wakes will be met by one mechanic to be able to then
away at Honda after this weekend. Final bike debut. We'd already seen the withdrawal of the Yamaha outfit, the factory outfit, one at Ducati, and Garrett Gerloff 8 points. Looking forward to finally getting underway.
Yeah, 12 laps here for
significantly slower 12-lap
information they can to give them an advantage. This is where being
designers of the circuit, because the reality is
they're adapt as quickly as possible.
In wet conditions, time can be made.
3 with Scott Redding, Axel Bassani, and Michael Big battles to keep an eye on.
Still driving. T21 Pirelli Indonesian round. Number 1, Locatelli running wide, drops to 3rd. Great start. Mercado is up ahead of the BMW. Move here on top rack. Razgatlioglu.
10-4 press. You can see for Jonathan Ray attacking there on top.
Moment there for Jonathan Ray as they come through turns 13 and his way coming off turn 16. Ray will immediately respond. It's the fighting we've been seeing.
But like you said, Alex, Taddy Mercado once again
off the tail of Michael van der Mark on this lap.
The race lead.
Top rack Razgatlioglu through in towards.
Considering wet weather had been one of the
come through turn 17 to complete lap number 2. It's now underneath him. Redding also looking good at this stage. Tati Mercado broadly going with the group. They're going to be swallowed up by the pack here. Scott Redding responds.
Yeah, Scott's always very strong.
And Tati Mercado will just want to hang on through turn 14.
Yeah, 6th position and 10 points.
45.301 last time around. Ray recovers.
Tallest riders on the grid.
Still just over a second. So Ray desperate to lead from the front. He will be the
first. Here's our top world class action. You're getting
Van der Mark was hoping to run the outside and give himself the inside. He may have been collected by Michael van der Mark there after
through 16, and then Van der Mark on.
Going to be the moment for him coming off the final turn. Off perhaps of Axel Bassani. I'm sure this is one that will be handled by top rack Razgatlioglu. We'll have him feeling Razgatlioglu, that's for 3rd position. And Redding doing the
top rack. Is he going to be close enough to attack back?
In second. The gap now over a second. So
this attack.
can't quite get there as they runs wide, and Michael van der Mark
around here is about a 34 in dry.
However, his clash with Axel Bassani 6.48 in these conditions, that's astonishing.
Racetrack know each other's games inside and out after last year.
Of a second on the previous lap. Van der Mark almost touch as they make their way through the next
scrap for third.
Toprak's got a party to a race victory. Quick check on the riders for Van der Mark, and Razgatlioglu almost
the
come
new
to
fastest lap last time around, but it is only a couple of
way. He's not going to get any extra respect for wearing a #1 plate.
He's willing to push hard in the wet as well.
4.4 finished third or fourth, and Reading
last time around was a 43.3. This time around
as well. Curse the commentator that one. Razgatlioglu the final turn at the end of lap number 10. Now 7/10 in arrears, and a very Garrett Gerloff has recovered 6th place by coming into this race. So that's
right on the tail of Jonathan Rabel, 0.3 of a second
to try and pull something miraculous off on the final. Where did that come from? Coming off the final turn. I wonder
a lot of grip out there in the asphalt here, even into
9. It's going to be the run in towards turn 10. Sweeps across the path of Scott Redding, coming off turn 10 to recover. Redding trying to turn back across the path of Ray, who was already through turn 16. Jonathan Ray, and second place goes the way of Scott Redding. Razgatlioglu, and indeed to the team's final turns in the Superbike. Long and illustrious career in the top flights.
Yeah, it's happened.
Luck on the final few turns
between us, but a podium for Scott Redding on his side.
News from a neutral's perspective is that top rank are going on here for Jonathan Ray then.
Did have to work hard for that one, and for this race regardless.
Yes, not too surprising. Ray returns to his old trusty, and
Jonathan Ray, and back to basics for Kawasaki as well.
As the world champion.
Yeah, and I think
some lingering doubt, but Jonathan Ray
his way over towards Parc Ferme as well.
I said 4th position. Great sign off Bike World Championship, and for so long
Scott Redding as well. Scott's obviously discarded some of
3,000 points in the Superbike World Championship.